Okay, so I'm close to having Texas work out, right, on this layer. I've outlined and modified just the placement and the angle. It looks like I need to grow the X a little bit. Remember that each of these is individual, and if I use the large selection tool, I can stretch them, like transforming them in Photoshop. The A feels a little broad, so I might lock the X, unlock the A, shrink it. If you hold down Option, it will shrink equally from both sides. That can be helpful. And I'm looking at the negative space between them. All right, and then the T, I'm just going to stretch the T a little bit, but not so much that it touches on the bottom. Hold down Option again. There we go. So I get it as close as I can without actually changing the letter forms directly. So I'm not changing their individual anchor points. I'm just overlapping them, anchoring them. So now once I'm happy with that, and I'm pretty paranoid when it comes to text, now what I'm going to do is turn off my background sketch so I just see it clearly. And I'm going to make a copy. I'm going to unlock all the layers, make a copy of the whole layer, Command C, lock it, turn it off, make a layer on top, and then edit, paste in place. Now once you get really familiar with Illustrator, you don't need to worry so much about always duplicating. But I've been using Illustrator for about 20 years, and I'm still not confident enough not to duplicate so that I could go back and edit if I need to. Okay, so I'm looking at the Texas now, and I am trying to really make it work just black and white. So how do I do that? I made a duplicate. So I'm safe now to edit it. And the first thing I'm going to do is merge them all together. Because right now there are a bunch of layered anchors, right? So how do I do that? I use the Pathfinder, and I merge. And now it's all one shape. What does that allow me to do? Actually, I probably shouldn't have done that quite yet, but it would allow me to just redraw edges. So let me see. So I went back before I did that, and I'm going to erase away from certain ones before I combine it. Like, I don't want the X serif right there, so I'm going to click on the X, just the X, and I'm going to erase from it, and I'll lock the rest just to be safe. There we go. Are there any others like that? It's weird to me that that's off. So remember, you have control in Illustrator of each anchor point, as long as you're careful, and each curve. And so you can make them more pleasing to your sensibility, again, without being too neurotic about it. You have that power. So that looks a lot better than it did before. There is this S, that curve is just a little odd to me, so I'm going to lock everything except the S. And I think I'm just going to delete this anchor point. That helps a little bit. Straighten that curve a bit. Maybe just, I don't need the little point in the middle there. Maybe I just use the pencil tool. Keep it on super smooth. So we're still using all those Illustrator skills. And then redraw that curve. Even scoop it down a little bit more. Yeah, I think I like that better. And right now it's not about what my sketch is, it's about what I think looks best. So then on the bottom, how do I get that sense that they're curving? Now I need to merge them together so I can merge these lines. So I'm going to unlock them all, select them all, use the pathfinder, merge them all. And then I can redraw these bottom lines. Or the easiest way is to actually just delete this anchor point between. And then why is the T not flat when everything else is? It's annoying things that happen. I actually want the T to bleed in as well, so I'm going to connect these anchor points. There we go. And then I have to use Pathfinder again, sadly, because they weren't overlapping before. Pathfinder only works on paths that are overlapping. And now I can go in there and scoop that out more cleanly. Oh. As cleanly as possible. Might have to use the smooth tool here. There we go. Same thing with the bottom. I could just get rid of a lot of these anchor points. But then I'll show you how I can just make it into one nice arc as well. Right? Because if you get rid of all the extra anchor points, there you go. You just have one anchor on each side. Then you just use your small selection and you can control the arc with the handles. And it's a beautiful thing to have that control. So this is fine tuning. And the reason I do this type kind of control section is so that you realize, even if you're not like a big person for exacting detail in your illustrations, there comes times when you need to really just deal with detail and exact geometry. And type is definitely one of those times. So I'm attempting to convert these with the Convert Anchor tool to curves. There we go. There we go. So they're not such strong points. There we go. And you can do that with the small selection tool. You'll be given that option if you just keep it to one anchor at each side. You'll see that little option there. I'll zoom in. That will make it an arc. That gives you a few more options. Oh, all these clean vectors. So it's almost there. I got to work on this anchor point a little bit. That's where it gets tricky. Play with these handles. Wish it wasn't black on black. Wrong handle. Oh, I think I see it. There we go. So I just want to play with this curve just a little bit. Even a little bit more. I think I'm going to fill it with a different color just so I can see these anchors, because unfortunately I ended up with the black, the black anchor layer. Okay, so there it shows my curve. There we go. And I can do it from both sides. So it's scooped out a little bit. With class. There we go. I'm just trying to get that curve. Okay, got it. Now I can drag this handle back. There we go. So effects for coloring and reflection and fills. Once you have the black silhouette, then we'll deal with those things.
I'll just wait.
Because we can texture them, we can do all kinds of things. All right, so what do you think?
It looks beautiful.
Oh, the yes, yeah, it needs to get stretched up. You're right.
And a little bit of the A maybe.
Okay, so there's a few ways you can do that.
Okay.
One way is you can just take the anchors at the very top and move that, and then everything else will stay put. But the way I kind of like is to use the lasso, select a big portion, and then use the small selection tool to stretch it. And then I just clean up that arc. And because I'm using fonts, I have smooth all the way on. All right.
I'm sorry, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm looking at it. It's not like it's too skinny. Like the 2-year-old fat. I sat there with my tape.
All right.
Perfectly. Like it needs to be a little bit big.
Well, the S I could get away with making bigger anyway, just because it's kind of the end cap of it.
Yeah.
You know.
See that little top part of the A.
Yeah. Now the A needs to go up a little bit.
Yeah. Needs to be perfect.
Now, notice that's why I have my sketch turned off. So the reason those were a little small, yeah, is because the my blocking wasn't perfect, right? See how it dropped down there?
Yeah. It looks good.
So at this point, yeah, you just want to kind of see it on your own. Yeah, I could play with making the S a little thicker.
I think the edge on the
We're
S,
giving like all this
the
work.
little diamonds right there in the middle is a little low compared to all the others. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that internal diamond.
Did Miss Davis give you this for me?
Yes, she did.
Whoa.
Yeah, so we can kind of thicken that up more. Bring this out a little bit, maybe. Play with these inkers. So this is the difference between
Yeah, now it looks weird. I don't know. It looks like the curve is too stylized.
yeah.